Hi, fifth graders. I want to take a look at a couple more examples of using the distributive property to divide. Now, in the first video, there were nice, neat boxes all set up to represent the dividend that we were splitting apart. But more often than not, you aren't going to have those pieces. Instead, you're just going to be given scrap paper and asked to figure out how to divide a certain number. So let's take a look at how we could use the distributive property if you didn't have any other resources. So we're going to start by looking at 68 divided by 4. Another way to say that is 4 times a mystery number is 68. And we're trying to figure out what that mystery number would be. So I can start by drawing an array. So I'll start by drawing a large rectangle in the middle of my paper. Now I know that this rectangle is made up of 68 pieces. I get that because that's my dividend right at the top. And I know that if I were to make this into a grid, it would be made up of 4 rows. That's what my divisor tells me. So now I want to break this up into pieces that I can easily divide by 4 using mental math. So I need to think of a number that's less than 68 and also a multiple of 4. This is where I recommend taking that divisor and multiplying it by 10. 40 is less than 68 and it's a multiple of 4. So I'm going to draw a line in my array to show that of all 68 of the pieces, 40 of them are going to be in this section on the left. So now I have to figure out what's left on the right. So since we used 40 as our first part, we can figure out how much is left by taking 68 minus 40. 68 minus 40 is 28. So that tells me that this section on the right has 28 pieces in it. Now I'm going to write the equation that I'm using to figure this out. I know that right here, in order to find this first mystery number, I need to do 40 divided by 4. So the first part of my equation is 40 divided by 4. I know that 40 divided by 4 is 10. So this section is representing 10 different columns. The second part of my equation is going to show the second part of my array. In this case, I'm taking 28 and dividing it by 4 to get my value at the top of the right-hand section. So I can write for my equation 28 divided by 4, and I know that 28 divided by 4 is 7 because that's a basic fact that's easy for me to do in my head. Now I need to find the sum of these two pieces. So I need to do 10 plus 7 gets me 17, which means 68 divided by 4 is 17. I can check my work with multiplication. So if I do 17 times 4, it should equal 68. Let's check. 4 times 7, is 28. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. I match what I have. So the answer to 68 divided by 4 would be 17 because I'm combining these two pieces. Let's take a look at another one. This time, let's take a look at 51 divided by 3. So again, I'm going to draw an array. I know my array is made up of 51 total pieces. And I know those 51 pieces are split into 3 rows. I get those two values right here from my problem. So now I need to use that 3 to help me break apart the 51. I'm going to think, what is a multiple of 3 that's less than 51? I'm going to use 30. So if I have 30 of the pieces on the left-hand side, then that means I can subtract those from the 51 that make up the entire rectangle to tell me that there will be 21 pieces left on the right-hand side. So now, to write my equation, I'm going to say that 30 divided by 3 makes up my first part, and 21 divided by 3 makes up my second part. So now I need to figure out what is 30 divided by 3? That's 10. And what is 21 divided by 3? That's 7. So it should be equal to 17. Let's see if that matches. I'm going to do 17 times 3. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Gets me my original answer of 51. So it should be the same at the end. I can look at another example here, 128 divided by 8. This one has some slightly larger numbers. So I have 128 pieces in my entire array. That would be split into 8 rows. I need to think what's a multiple of 8 that fits into 128. I'm going to use that trick to multiply by 10. So I have 80. So I would have 128 pieces minus 80 pieces. Leaves me with 48. So I know that on this side, what I'm doing is 80 divided by 8, which is 10, plus in my second part of my array, 48 divided by 8, which is 6. Add those two pieces together, should be 16. So that tells me my quotient should be 16. Let's check. 16 times 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. 128 matches. Okay. I want to show you one more example, but this time I don't want to use a multiple of 10. Let's take a look at 104 divided by 4. So again, I'm going to start with my array model. Same exact method. But this time, I have 104 pieces here, split up into 4 rows. If I only take a group of 10, that would only be taking away 40 of those pieces. It seems like I should be able to take away more than just 40. So instead of doing 4 times 10, let me see if 4 times 20 would work. 4 times 20 is going to be 80. 80 is still less than 104. So if I make my first section worth 80, then I can do 104 minus 80 to leave me with 24 pieces. And really, I should split this a little bit more proportionally and make my rectangle on the right much smaller than the rectangle on the left. Now, 80 divided by 4 is 20. 24 divided by 4 is 6, meaning my final answer should be 26. Let's check. 26 times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. 104 is my final answer. Some of you might have even recognized that there's another way we could have solved this question. So I'm going to leave that one up, but I'm going to draw another distributive property example. You might have recognized, hey, wait a second, if I'm multiplying by 20 and I have 104 pieces, maybe instead of multiplying by 20, I'll multiply by 25 because 25 times 4 kind of reminds me of quarters. So if I multiply by 25, that leaves 100 pieces that I've used. Well, 104 minus 100 means that there's 4 pieces left here. That's a group of 1. 25 plus 1 is still 26. So you can use a number of different strategies to help you find your final answer. But breaking up the array can help you because you're using mental math to solve questions. Hopefully these extra examples helped you out when you're thinking about using the distributive property to help you divide.